Getting better textures in ambient music is all about pushing beyond the obvious. In this video, we're going to explore some of my favorite techniques for adding depth and motion to your sound, including layering field recordings, creative distortion, granular synthesis, and experimental reverb and delay. We're also going to take a look at the brand new BEAM 2.0 update, which now includes the ability to use every BEAM effect as a standalone plugin. It's one of the most powerful additions for textural design and dynamic sound sculpting inside of a single plugin. So if you're looking to take your ambient music to the next level with more dimension and detail, you're definitely in the right place. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Okay, so here we are in Ableton Live 12. The goal with today's video is to talk about the topic, better textures in ambient music. You know, as ambient musicians, we are the sonic explorers, right? We are the ones who are at the edge of sound design, really pushing the limits of what's possible. And one of those things that you'll run into on your sonic adventures is texture. How do I get better textures in my music? How do I get better fidelity out of the music that I'm making? We're going to talk about that today. And while we do that, we're actually going to be taking a look at the new BEAM 2.0 update. It's a fantastic update. They really improved a lot of the things about BEAM. And so we're going to be taking an in-depth look at that. And finally, stick around to the end. I'm going to highlight some of the sounds from the new BEAM expansion pack, Embers, created by my good friend Cameron from Venus Theory. Okay, so that's the game plan here. I've got a full PowerPoint plan, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, as you can see, I've got two field recordings on the screen here. One is from the Luftdrum Free Field Recording Pack, and the other one is from Free to Use Sounds. Okay, let's go ahead and listen to this. You can hear what they sound like. And I've done some pre-work here with the EQ. You can kind of hear the results here. So this is what I've done to the EQ on this rain sound. Taking some of the bass out of the sides here. Taking a notch here out of the middle in the side. Just some general cleanup here, you know, on the rain. I've done the same thing to the underground sound, the HVAC. Kind of cleaned up the bass here. Taking out the highs. And then on the rain, I really went crazy and added a bunch of, you know, plugins in a rack. So check this out. Oh yeah. So you can hear it's like dramatically different, right? I put all these plugins in a rack. Let me explain what's going on here. Now, I've got a BEAM filter here. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do you get BEAM filter out of BEAM, right? Well, that's one of the things that they added with BEAM 2.0 is they added every BEAM effect to be its own individual plugin as well as a standalone multi-effect plugin, which is amazing because it really fits into your workflow now. Like you can just grab multi-effects and go crazy, right? You can see over here in my browser, like in my multi-effects folder, like I've got all the BEAMs here. Filter, grains, haze, time, volt, and then over my reverbs, I've got haze and space. So, you know, you can now modulate it with your own modulators here. As you can see, I'm modulating the filter cutoff as well as the filter stereo. They added that now. That's cool. They've added some different, you know, filter shapes here. Bell, formant, low shelf, high shelf. I mean, it's great. As well as the ability to stereo split the filter here. So that's fantastic, right? And that's going through the BEAM grains here. Actually a resonator and then BEAM grains. Probably my favorite of the BEAM plugins. Right? Fantastic. Then it's going through haze, the new one. This is like a chorus slash phaser kind of plugin. And then of course, BEAM space here on the end. So like whether you use BEAM as a multi-effect or you use it separately, it's up to you now. But I really love the fact that they split these up. So now it's like, you know, you're getting individual plugins you can just kind of integrate into what you're doing, rather than placing a full instance of BEAM, you know, on every track. It's awesome. So anyway, that's what I did there. On this one, added a resonator. Oh yeah, sounds really good. And then on the group, I've added an instance of space. This Arcturus space here. Just a subtle space here to kind of round it off. But you can hear like from from the rain and the HVAC. I mean, look how far we went, right? Let's go back all the way here. That's a lot. It's like with field recordings, you can really go crazy. And that brings us to our PowerPoint. Let me talk about this. So, layering sounds and field recordings. Incorporate unique sonic environments by layering found sounds and field recordings into your compositions. Now you can see what I just did, right? I took a sample of rain, a sample of this air system, and I put them together, and then I started processing them, right? These can range from subtle room tones to bustling city soundscapes, adding a distinct sense of space and organic movement. Experiment with processing these recordings with effects like granular synthesis or extreme time stretching to transform them into entirely new textural elements. So that's one thing that you might want to think about is how do you actually take these field recordings and process them into something else? And like I said in the intro, that's what we do as ambient musicians, right? We take sounds and then process them, and that becomes the experience and the process itself, right? That's the whole journey through sound design. So, you know, if you really get into that, like that's really the final frontier there. I love it. So anyway, like I said, it's very powerful now because now we have all these different beam effects that we've now separated out, you know, which is really great. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you, Lunacy, for listening to us. We wanted this all along, and now we have it. Now, I want to make it clear that you can still run Beam as its own thing, and we're going to do that later. It's just like now each Beam effect is now its own effect, which gives you even more flexibility, right? Because you can see I have a resonator here. I've got a utility right in the middle. We couldn't do that before. Now we can, okay? So now let's talk about the next topic here, which is, you know, how do we actually get, you know, more texture in this? So let's talk about the next point here. Creative distortion and filtering. Introduce rich and complex texture by applying distortion and various filtering techniques to your sounds. Now, some of you might remember the last Beam, you know, plugin that we got was Volt, which was a distortion plugin. We're gonna talk about that in a second. So experiment with different types of distortion, from subtle saturation to aggressive fuzz, to introduce harmonic richness and grit. So here I have an instance of a preset, just basic preset from my new preset pack, Ancient Technology 3. It's called Destructo, okay? And I chose this on purpose because I was like, okay, well, Destructo is gonna sound really good once we put some distortion on it, right? Hear what this sounds like. Okay? Well, what happens when you introduce some subtle saturation and distortion to this on top of the field recordings that we already did? Check this out. So let's grab Beam, the actual Beam. Here, we'll go into our multi-effects folder. We'll grab Beam, and we're gonna scroll down to the new expansion pack. This is Embers, which I'm gonna highlight later, okay? So we'll go to the presets here, and we'll go to Embers. This is created from Cameron, from Venus Theory, good friend of mine. He's a really great sound designer, and he works with Lunacy and other companies. And I just love his take on sound design. So anyway, let's check out Machine Theory. This is one of my favorites here. So a brittle and angry distortion that's proudly digital and deeply upset with a failure of unrealized dreams. Ouch. Kind of sounds like a personal monologue there. So anyway, check this out. Oh yeah. Love that. Fantastic. Oh my God, that's so good. So as you can see, it's just simple. Grains, volt, and space. Boom. Right, let's see what the macro does. Oh yeah. It cranks up that volt in the middle. I love it. I love it. So you can see like just a little bit of saturation, right? Goes a long way here. I've got my own macros here. The Destructo macro. Little radio glitch here. Oh yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and lay in some notes here. I mean, this is it. This is the kind of thing you can do with Beam and the possibilities now with sound design. Oh my God. All right. ahead and turn off the fixed grid, snap to grid off. Draw mode, put in scale mode. All right. There we go. Drag this one all the way out. And with Ambient, you don't really need to be super precise, but like, you know, just allow your imagination to kind of run wild here. Some of these notes. Put the high end. Add a C here. E flat. There we go. Perfect. And maybe we'll add a nice bass note here. How about that? Boom. Just like that. Great. Now, of course, you could modulate some of this, right? But you can hear, like, without Beam, with Beam. Oh, yeah. Adjust the mix here to taste. Oh, fantastic. Like, it just adds that subtle amount. And that's what distortion can do. And especially with, you know, distortions as powerful as Volt that are like, you know, they're like subtle, but at the same time, like, you can really drive them if you want. So, fantastic stuff here, especially coming from Beam 2.0. Love it. Absolutely love it. Great job, Cameron. This is just one preset out of many. There's 50. We're going to highlight some at the end. Anyway, so that's using distortion. I think that's a great way to kind of, you know, give an example, is using that on a pad to shape your sound in very specific ways. So let's talk about the next point here. Exploring granular and glitch effects. Now, this is something that I do all the time on the channel. I really love to do it, but with Beam and Granular, of course, we got grains on board. So let's talk about this. So dive into granular synthesis to deconstruct and reassemble sounds into shimmering clouds, evolving drones, and intricate rhythmic textures. Beyond traditional synthesis, consider integrating controlled glitch effects or circuit bent sounds to introduce unexpected sonic artifacts and digital grit. These techniques can create unpredictable and dynamic textures that continually evolve within your ambient soundscape. Now, you guys saw in the last video that I used a granular processor on a sequence to really take it to the next level. Okay? It was a great technique. Let's use that same technique again, but this time we're going to use Beam. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a sequencer. Okay? Let's just grab stepping. It's just straight off the rib here. Okay? And all we need to do is just do some really basic notes here. Like, very simple. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use granular to modulate the pitch of what's happening here. So maybe just like, you know, a couple octaves here and some C notes. We'll go 2 octaves and the rest are just C's, okay? And we'll randomize it. So we never know which one's gonna be +1, which one's gonna be the other one, okay? Cool, I'm down with that, all right? So now let's take a pluck here from Ancient Technology 3. We'll grab Serum 2 again. And I'll grab a pluck. I think I know which one I'm gonna grab. Let's grab Broken, of course. Of course, right? So now we have Broken here. I haven't turned on Stepic. It's just kind of hanging out. But now what we can do is we can grab, let me just show you what this sounds like. Just very simple, right? Okay? Very simple. Broken is just doing its thing. No problem, okay? But check this out. What we're gonna do is grab Beam grains here, okay? Now with grains, now that we have it, you know, unlocked, we've broken it out of jail here, out of Beam jail. What we can do is we can uncouple the rate and the size. This is my favorite technique here, okay? So we're gonna unlock rate and size, and now they're completely independent from each other, okay? Which means that we're really gonna get some different, you know, grain size. Like this can go crazy here. And you can't do that when it's locked, but when it's unlocked, you totally can. Okay, we're also gonna change the shape to a slope down, which is kind of like a, you know, attack decay slope. That's awesome. And we can also change this, the ARP here, to minor, which means that now those original C notes that are going, 0 and plus 12 are going to be something totally different. Okay? Check this out. You see what I'm saying? Wow. Play with the size here. Oh, that's fantastic. You can mess with the spray, even the width. Oh yeah. I mean, if that doesn't convince you that Grains is awesome, now you can see why it's my favorite plugin in the BEAM collection, right? You can add your own delay here. Maybe play with the mix, too. I mean, so that really added a lot to it, right? I love that. It's just fantastic. So, mess with that. See if you could, use a granular processor in that way, where it kind of takes what you're doing and elevates it even further. I think, like I said, as ambient musicians, we are on the edge of what's possible here, all right? So that's point number 3, is exploring granular and glitch effects. I think I made that point really clear. And finally, creative use of reverb and delay. Now, of course, this is it goes without saying, but I want to show you a way that you can do this now with BEAM 2.0 that really is gonna, take it to the next level. So push the boundaries of reverb and delay by using them as sound design tools rather than just spatializers, okay? So you can use a reverb and a delay in different ways to make it more than just what it's traditionally used as, all right? Explore unconventional reverb types like shimmer or reverse reverb, and automate their parameters to create swells, sweeps, and otherworldly atmospheres, okay? So one of the things that they added in BEAM 2.0 is in the space node here, all right? I'm gonna start calling it a plugin, not a node. It used to be a node, now it's a plugin. Is they've added a bunch of new IR responses here and new categories. So now we have tonal, dispersion, and noise blur, okay? What's tonal all about? Well, look, we've got all these different tones here across, all these different scales. So check this out. Of course, we're playing in C minor. So what if we take the C minor resonator and see what that sounds like? Oh yeah. So it's taking our sequence and now we're resonating through a reverb or some sort of resonating, impulse response that they created. That's just crazy. It's nuts. It's nuts. Well, let's try the spec resonator. Ooh, does that sound even better? Oh, I like that. Wow. As you can see, there are square arps in here. What's the grain resonator? Oh my God, C minor 9 grain resonator. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, fantastic. Wow. Really pushing it home. Oh my God. So you can see, there's also in here, one of the things I was also playing with was reverse noise, okay? Listen to this, reverse noise. So it's in reverse here. We got a reverse reverb. Oh my God, I'm going back to that C minor 9. That just kills it. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay, so to wrap up the BEAM portion, they've also added a new LFO. They've added side chaining in there. There's a bunch of new quality of life improvements. Hats off. But yeah, anyway. So reverb and delay. Again, this doesn't have to be BEAM. It could be anything else. You could do it with, Supermassive, but really think about this. How can you use reverb and delay in different ways? Are you reversing the reverb? Are you reversing the delay? Are you using different timings? Are you uncoupling time and space just like we did in the grains, right? There's all kinds of different ways you can do this, okay? But the end result here is, like I said, better textures in ambient music. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully this was really helpful for you guys. I'm super excited about the future of this. I'm excited about the future of sound design. And yeah, BEAM 2.0. Anyway, stay tuned for some of the sounds from Embers. We're gonna highlight some of those. And this has been a fantastic sort of, you know, quick deep dive, if you will. Hopefully you guys can experiment with some of these techniques. Let me know how it goes in the comments down below. I'll come on here and say goodbye. Thanks for watching, you guys. Truly appreciate it. If you want more tutorials like this, I am on Patreon. I'll leave a link down below in the description for that as well. And yeah, check out Ancient Technology 3. That's available now. Links down there. And check out BEAM. I think it's on sale for a couple more days. So, you know, the world is yours. Anyway, thank you to Lunacy for sponsoring this video. And yeah, we'll be back again soon with more videos just like this one. In the meantime, take good care, you guys. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I'm Chris from Signs of Life. And I'll see you guys in the next video.